Okay, well, it's 1 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our last newly elected session for December. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ones that we've done up till now. Again, it's just a very high overview these past trainings, just to kind of get your feet wet as you walk into office. Today's topic is a gateway overview. We're not going to dig real deep here. We're just going to kind of skim the surface and give you some information as you move forward. I do want to remind you, as you entered, we did turn off your videos and your microphones. We will be turning those back on at the end if we can, if you have that availability to do a small Q&A if we've got some time. Again, we're recording. Once we get done recording, today's the last session that we have. Once I get this recording and get it downloaded, we'll get it over to our webmaster and have it put up on the website so that you can review it at another time if you need to. Most of you have found the chat box. So if you haven't, it's down at the right-hand side. So if you have any technical questions or you just want to say hi, you can go ahead and type in there. You can put questions in there, but I am going to ask that maybe you kind of save them till the end. It'll be easier for me to pull through and we can do them all at once. Okay. I think from there, Lori's going to start us off talking about the gateway overview.
See if this still works from yesterday.
Looks like you're set up, right?
There we go.
Perfect.
Okay. As Ricky said, I'm Lori Rogers, and you probably heard me talk at least once this week, and will hear me again. We're going to go over a little bit on Gateway. Again, as Ricky said, this is a high-level overview. It's just to introduce you to the Gateway system, what it's used for. Ricky's going to take over and talk about some individual uses that your office will have, and we will have a more detailed training in January on how your particular office, so we'll break you up, recorders, auditors, treasurers, recorders, so that you have your particular office of what forms need to be uploaded and actually how you do that. But today is just to introduce you to the Gateway system itself. So what is Gateway? And Gateway is basically a transparency portal. The state has one on the Auditor State's website, and this is for local government. So this is a transparency portal for local government. It was a joint project started out between Department of Local Government Finance, State Board of Accounts, working together with the Indiana Business Research Center, which is IBRC, you'll hear. And they do a technical help desk. You will sometimes receive emails from IBRC, such as when you get a user ID and password when you first get on the system. So be aware of that. Be looking for their email address in case you've requested one. Sometimes it ends up in a spam folder depending on what kind of filters your county uses. So just be aware of that. They hold the platform for it. They really don't do the content. We do the content, but they hold the platform for it. So it's a data collection. And as I said, transparency portal supported by the state of Indiana and Indiana University. It's used by thousands of local government officials, academic researchers, and taxpayers. It was launched in 2010, and it grew out of the Information for Indiana initiative, which was a collaboration of the state of Indiana and Indiana University to make state-collected information available to Indiana citizens. And it really is not only a great resource for you as an elected official, but it takes some of the burden off of you as far as providing some of this information. Your citizens use it, your unit departments and governing boards use it. Also, researchers use it, come in, and rating agencies, different places go to this information, and they're able to get information rather than having to ask you specifically to put a public records request together. So it is a good tool for that as well. Gateway is used by all the local units of government to submit the required data to the state of Indiana. Some of the required information submitted is public information. So Gateway has a public side to allow citizens to access information. And earlier this week, we went over the public side. This resource helps promote transparency of public funds. As I said, Department of Local Government Finance, Department of Workforce Development, Indiana Gaming Commission, Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the Indiana Education Employment Relations Board, to name a few, have all joined in onto this once we got the platform up. So you'll see there's a lot of things that you can access, as well as what you can access for State Board of Accounts. So the email here is the State Board of Accounts Help Desk. There is a separate help desk for DLGF, so you need to know whether you're working on budgets or you're working on your AFR or which application you're in to know who to email. But this is the State Board of Accounts Help Desk, and this is for technical questions and content. Whoops, keep doing that. You have to be authorized to use the Indiana Gateway for Government unit, so you have a user ID assigned to you and a password to access the Gateway program. There is only one per position, so your current elected official has that user ID and password, but they will no longer have it once you take office, so you're going to have to get that changeover. To do that, we've listed the information that you need to send to this email address, and that is your username, the email address on file that you're using, your official work email. You will be responsible for any information that's entered into Gateway. Your username and password is like a signature, so be sure that, if you're submitting stuff, that you're not just giving your information away or password away to let someone else do that. You can request someone else to have access within your office by completing a limited delegation of authority form, and this form is available in the monthly and annual engagement uploads user guides. It's item number 2. What that does is say if you want someone else to be able to access, it's not the office holder, that just gives them limited access to it to enter data or to do some of the transactions within there under their user ID and password. This email address noted will also be used later on if you need assistance with Gateway. So any questions, you need a password reset, you have technical problems. If it's something about, if you're working, like, for example, on your annual financial report and you have a question about what needs to be included, that should come to Ricky and I. The help desk really doesn't know that, but they can help you with the technical. I can't get a function to work. I can't get it to save my data, those kinds of questions. But if it's something on, do I put this in or does this fund or how do I do the transfers? We'll go through all of this when we do the AFR, but those questions would come to Rick or I. Another thing we want to point out is there are user guides available both for DLGF and for State Board of Accounts. These are a great resource. They're not that long, and you can search them by the topic, by what you're trying to do. In fact, when you call in a question, this is often the first place that we look to see what does the user guide say, how this is to be handled. It goes into detail about each upload. It outlines the statute or directive that makes it a requirement. The user guide provides a great walkthrough. They have the actual upload process. They have screenshots. They have step-by-step instructions. So we really, really highly recommend that you look at that. Like I said, it does not take long to go through it. Just scan through and see what's available in the user guide, and then maybe later you'll know where to go back to when you're actually trying to do a function. You can get to that particular section in the user guide and use that. So at this moment in time, there are, these are the offices that are required to upload information. This can change, and Ricky is going to go over really what you upload and why by office. So I am going to, well, I'm going to keep doing this, but she's going to take over.
Yeah, it's like you're going to keep the presentation
I'm going to keep it up.
Okay.
Let me go to the next screen.
Yeah. So we're going to start with the county auditor. Because the county auditor, it's not more information than some offices, just some different stuff that we'll do. One of the when you're in is 100R. This is really a certified compensation of employees. This is a requirement under IC 511-13-1. So to be in compliance with this, you will go into Gateway. Wow. You will go into Gateway. My tongue got twisted. And that's where you're going to upload that information. Again, we're going to go more in depth in this next month, but I just kind of want to touch on these things. So again, the 100R is due January 31st. So that's probably going to be your first experience with Gateway. So if you get in there, obviously you'll call us and we'll help you. The other very important piece that the auditor uploads into Gateway is the annual financial reports. From here on out, you're going to hear it called the AFR. That's just what we call it. It's simple and sweet. So the AFR, this is basically your financial reports. It includes data by funds, again, capital assets, grants, debts, pensions, just all the information that we're going to require to do your financial statements. So the AFR is required to be filled out by everybody. Everybody's required to upload it. For those who do a regulatory report on a regulatory basis, and we'll get more to that later on, this is what we use. So we take this, we pull this out of Gateway, and we run it through a macro, what we call it. It's what it is. And it creates your financial statements. It puts them into a format, a financial statement format, and that's what we audit. If you are a county that presents on a GAAP basis, you're still required to upload this AFR. You just have some additional requirements. And again, we'll discuss that later. Also, when you're doing your AFR, this is where you're going to be uploading your surety bonds. So, we've talked about, hey, you want to make sure and get a hold of, who the insurance company your county uses for this. To get your surety bond. So you want to make sure that you've obtained yours because it's going to be uploaded along with the other offices that are required. And that's outlined when you go into Gateway. So the AFR is a requirement in the statute. We put the statute here, 511-1-4. You must submit this 60 days after the close of the fiscal year, which in most cases is March 1st. So I think last year it was February 29th.
Leap year.
Because it was a leap year. So, but we will be discussing that with you as you go on. And obviously, you're going to start working on that at the beginning of the year, too. Okay. Oh, I'm not clicking the slides. You are. Next. Okay. So while those are the important ones, that's what you're going to be, your big ones, you are still required to do some monthly engagement uploads. So this is really, and you're going to hear some of this information kind of repeated, but we want to make sure that every office understands what requirement is made for them. So for the county auditor, one of the things that you do monthly is you do approved board minutes. So these approved board minutes are required for all boards and commissions if they have a financial impact on the government unit. So as a whole. So, and if you have the minutes online, you don't have to actually upload a document. You can just provide the link to them. That works just as well. If the board does not meet each month, you only upload minutes for the months that they do meet. So upload the minutes to the month that meeting took place and not the month they were approved. All right. Examples of this, there's all kinds of different ones, so you need to kind of take a look at what your county has. Some have them, some don't. But minutes that are considered to have a financial impact could be where maybe they approve expenditures. They apply for state or federal grants, approve or recommend issuance of debt, receive open or sealed bids, approve and sign contracts, approve change orders, things like that are what we're looking for in board minutes. Mainly your commissioners will always be uploaded, your council will always be uploaded, but then start taking a look at how about your drainage board? Do you have a redevelopment commission? What about a tourism commission? Economic development commission? Again, This is a huge list. So when you get in there, kind of take a look at what you have going on for your county. And if you have a question on whether or not you think something should be uploaded, you can give us a call, or you can always upload more if you're just not sure. It never hurts to have it on there. Okay, so while that seems a little bit overwhelming because there's all kinds of boards, your funds ledger. So the funds ledger is a report that's going to show your beginning balance, your total receipts, your total disbursements, and your ending balance for each fund at the end of each month. Okay. You probably have a computer system that's going to have a report or a form that does this. So you can either talk with the current official right now to see what they are using, or you can always, once you get your Gateway Access, log in and see what report they did. Okay. The next one is the documentation of the reconciliation of Form 61 between the auditor and the treasurer. So the Form 61 is a prescribed form. It is it shows it's a monthly comparison, okay, between the auditor and the treasurer. What they're wanting is, well, if you have a financial statement software that you're using, it may not be called the Form 61. So if you're not sure what report you can print out to be that, again, call Lori and I. But the Form 61 is the prescribed form. And so the auditor should have one and the treasurer should have one. All right. What we're looking for in this case is not that form. Each month, at least each month, the auditor and the treasurer should be coming together and reconciling those two. What we're looking for as an upload would be the reconciliation between the two, okay? All right, and all of this information really is all inside that user guide. So you're going to see the little caveat at the bottom here where it says detailed information is contained within the monthly and annual engagement user guide. All of this is there. It goes into lots more detail. It has the list of boards on there that I was reading to you, all of that information. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so while you have to do annually the AFR and the 100R, you also have to upload these things. So you've got a detail of receipt activity. This is a transaction level listing of receipts. It will include your receipt numbers, your date received, the amount of the receipt, the fund it was posted to, who it was received from. Yes, I'm not going to read the rest of that, sorry. So that one is going to be done. A lot of times people do it when they're doing when you do your AFR, you're just uploading these at the same time. You also want a detail of disbursement activity. Again, this is a transaction level listing. Okay, so check numbers, the date it was dispersed, the amount it was dispersed, the fund it was posted to, who the vendor or the payee is, the current year's salary ordinance. So if you were uploading the 2019 stuff or 2020, I copied this out. The user guide said 2019, but let's say 2020, since that's what you're going to be doing. The salary ordinance should be for 2020. All right, your annual vendor history report. This is just a report that shows the total amount dispersed to each vendor. The funds ledger. This is a report that shows the summary of the beginning balance, total receipts, total disbursements, and ending balance of each fund for the year. I know you're doing it monthly, but we want to see one for the whole year as well. Again, if you have a computer system, a lot of times a lot of these systems have kind of a, I want to call it a run button, and it will automatically produce these for you. So you have to get with your software vendor on that if you're unsure. And the last thing on here is the annual payroll history report. This should include at a minimum the date, employee name, gross wages, check numbers for all payroll checks that are issued in the year. It should not include Social Security numbers, so that should not be on there. That is sensitive information. With all of these things, if you have the capability of uploading them in Excel, that's kind of the preferred. But if not, searchable PDFs are the second preferred, and if not there, then just a PDF or however it goes. We'll make it work. Okay, let's go to the next one, which I think is treasurer, right? All right. I keep expecting it to change on mine too. So it doesn't. So that's a lot for the auditor. So now we're going to skip over to the treasurer. All right. So the treasurer is required to do monthly engagement uploads as well. In this case, your county treasurer, as you learned, I can't remember if it was yesterday. Was it yesterday we did the treasurers or the day before? I think it was the day before, Tuesday. So you learned that the treasurer is the one who basically holds the cash. You're the custodian of the cash. So in this case, every month, you need to upload your bank reconcilement. Okay, at the bank reconcilement, you need to include your bank statement for that month or statements if you have multiple accounts. Outstanding checklists are included. This can be included separately. You could do these separately, or you put them all together. So if your county is one that when they do their reconcilement, they just kind of put a packet together and all this is included, just upload the entire thing. That's fine. We just need the information. Okay. We're also looking for the cash balance report. This is your cash book. This is what you're reconciling your bank statements to. Okay. And again, I won't go into huge detail about this. The documentation of reconciliation of Form 61 between the auditor and treasurer. It is listed not only on the auditor side, but on the treasurer side, because depending on how your county does it, it could be that the treasurer holds that documentation of reconcilement, or maybe the auditor holds that. Maybe you guys come together and do it. Maybe you both have a copy. We don't care. We don't care who uploads it. Both don't need to upload it. Only one needs to upload it. So you need to work with your auditor or your treasurer and determine how that should be handled best, because each county does just kind of runs just a little bit differently. So it needs to work for your county, okay? All right, next one. So at the end of the year, the county treasurer has an annual upload as well that they need to do. And this is your end of the year investment statements that you have. Okay, so any investments that you have out there, you should have some sort of statement at year end so we can upload and see what the balance of those would be. Okay. All right, let's move to, I believe, clerk. Okay, so let's scoot over to the county clerk. They are requiring monthly uploads as well. It's kind of similar to the treasurer, though. You have a little bit less that you have to do, sort of. Each office, his job is relatively different. So even though you have similar items that you have to upload, it still can be time consuming. So again, the county clerk should be reconciling their bank accounts for their trust accounts or trust accounts. You may have multiple accounts there. So you should be reconciling those. We want to see your bank reconcilement for your trust account, for your ISETS account, anything that you're reconciling, any reconcilement you have. We want that uploaded. Bank statements, all bank statements that you have for that month. Outstanding checklists, when we need that. And then again, you have to do a cash balance report as well. And again, this is your cash book. They are different, okay? So the treasurer's cash book and the clerk's cash book are different forms, and we'll go over that more in detail next month. But the clerk's cash book and daily balance record, this is the prescribed form 46. This is what you should be using to reconcile. And if you have if you have a computer system such as Odyssey in your county, there might be a report there that will work in replace of the prescribed form 46, okay? All right, we do have an annual upload for the clerks, and this is your county court trust fund subsidiaries ledger. Lots of big words there. So at the end of the year, you should have a trust ledger, okay? This trust ledger should have a listing of every person that you're holding money in trust for. That is what we want. That is what will be uploaded into Gateway. Okay. Again, could be through a report. It may not be a handwritten thing. It's probably not. It's probably a computer system. I'm not sure there are any clerks that do hand post it, but don't quote me on that. So that is what we're looking for at the end of the year. So, you know, you're holding money. You should be able to know whose money you're holding. All right. Let's scoot over to recorder. No. Yes. Sorry. I was a slide behind. So the county recorder, if this only applies to you if you have an outside bank account. If your county recorder does not have an outside bank account and you are turning collections in daily, you are not required to upload anything. Okay. So if you do have an outside bank account, you are required again to upload your bank statement, your bank reconcilements, and your outstanding checklists. Okay. Your outstanding checklist, if I didn't tell you guys earlier, this is just a list of checks that have been written, but they haven't cleared the bank yet. It's just a reconciling item that you have. The recorder also is required to upload the cash balance report as well, which is their cash book. And in this case, it is the prescribed Form 3, which is the recorder's fee and cash book. I do want to say, I know that we're going to do a little bit, probably more training throughout the year on this because this does kind of get confusing. The clerks and the recorders do turn in a report of collections monthly to the county auditor, okay? The report of collections is really used to exchange custody of funds. It keeps track of what you've collected and what you've turned over for the year. But that report in itself is just, I have this money I've taken in and I'm going to give it over to you and you're giving custody over it. It is not the cash balance report. It is not what you are reconciling to. Okay, I wanted to kind of emphasize that because we've had some questions come up here recently about that. So we are looking for what your fee and cash book is for that time. Okay. Is this me?
Yes.
Am I still doing this one? Okay.
You're still you.
Oh, it's conflict. Okay. There. So what I wanted to put on here, and again, all of this is in the user guide. So take a look at it. It does have, like she said, screenshots and things like that for you to take a look at and get an idea of how you're going to go about uploading. But the monthly engagements, we give you a couple months to do that. We know sometimes maybe, you know, in January, your January bank statement comes and maybe it takes you a little bit longer to reconcile it. So we don't expect it to be at the first, you know, February 1st to be uploaded in there. Sometimes you don't even get your bank statements till mid-February for January, depending on the bank. So we've outlined all the dates here. It's always the 15th of the month. So basically every month on the 15th, you're expected to upload 2 months previous, okay? And the annual engagements, these documents are always due at the same time as the annual financial report, which is March 1st. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Lori. She's going to kind of discuss the conflict of interest, and because it is another required form to be uploaded.
Okay. So with the conflict of interest, there is the statute. We put the actual statute on here so you can see it. It's a little bit longer than this. We put everything on there. But this is for anyone, which would include you as an elected officer, any public servant who knowingly or intentionally has a pecuniary interest or derives a profit from a contract or purchase connected with an action by the governmental entity served by the public servant commits a conflict of interest, which is a level 6 felony. So if you ask us questions about it, a lot of times we're going to say you need to talk to your lawyer if you think there are some issues because there are criminal charges associated with this. But as a basic understanding, if you are an elected officer of your county and you are also maybe have, for example, an outside business and are contracting with the county through that business, so you have a financial interest in that business, you're part owner or directly related to someone who's part owner, and all of that's in the statute, then you can't take advantage basically of your position to do that. That doesn't mean you can't contract with them. There just has to be full disclosure. And that's the part that comes into play with Gateway. Okay. And so it says down here at the bottom, it's not an offense under this section if any of the following apply. And the number 6 is the one we're going to talk about. A public servant makes a disclosure that meets the requirements of subsection D. So you're disclosing the relationship of your interest in that contract or purchase. So this is subsection D, and it tells you that the disclosure has to be in writing. It has to describe the contract or purchase, that is the interaction between the governmental entity and the public officer who has an interest in it. Describe what that interest is. You own the business, or your wife owns the business, or your husband owns the business. You are affirming under penalty of perjury, and that you are submitting to the governmental entity and accepted by the governmental entity. You've disclosed this to the governing board, so everyone is aware of this before this action takes place. It has to be filed within 15 days after the final action on the contract or purchase, and it has to be filed with the State Board of Accounts and also with your county clerk. And it's the State Board of Accounts part that we're really looking at right now, because to file it, you file it on Gateway. So you're going to file it on the Gateway system. This is one thing where you file your own. So you as the auditor or you as the clerk are not required to file anyone else's conflict of interest. You each have to file your own. If you have a conflict of interest, you need to file it on Gateway and file it with the clerk. We do have a form available. This is optional. There is no mandatory form. There's no prescribed form. We have one that kind of fits with the statute, and so it can cover you. You're certainly allowed to use this. If your lawyer draws up one, that's fine as well. You will scan the form as a PDF, and actually, so the scanned image is what is uploaded on Gateway. And this is a public document. So if a citizen has a question about it, and they want to know whether you filed a conflict of interest, they can go to Gateway and look up the conflict of interest in your county and see who has filed and who has not. It is due 15 days after the final action on that contract or purchase. If there's any question and you ask us again, we're not going to give you legal advice. We can't do that. But if there's any question, we say it's better to disclose when you don't need it than not have it when you do. And if you're, realizing it, maybe it's 16 days after, go ahead and file it. Even if you didn't get it within the 15-day deadline, go ahead and file it as soon as possible. And again, everyone is responsible for filing their own conflict of interest. There is no officer that's required to upload this information. Do you want to do the...
I did, and I wanted to say something that I kind of forgot to say.
Okay.
Is when you guys are doing those monthly uploads, that is not public information. When that goes up there, people cannot get on Gateway and access those things. So when you put your bank statement and all that information up there, that is for us, for our field examiners when we come in to do the audit. It just helps us facilitate that audit a little quicker through those uploads. But I just want to make sure I clarify that. The AFR and the 100R are public documents. So those, I think, those are the only ones that we've mentioned before that would be able to be visible on the public side of Gateway. So we have a couple slides here that we put together. I pulled these from the user guide as well. They're really the most common, frequently asked questions. There's a lot of them, but some of them get really technical, and so I didn't want to get that too deep in the weeds here on this. So I just pulled 4 of them together. So if you click on there, so why must documents be uploaded in Gateway? Click it again. There it goes. Okay, so this really allows us to do a lot of audit work remotely, which right now with COVID, this has been a great tool. It's actually worked really well for us that we already had this set up prior to everybody working remotely. It does help result in efficiencies and reduce audit time, which in turn reduces audit costs to you. So it's, again, our intent is to use this monthly information more effectively to plan engagements. We do perform risk assessments on units when we are trying to plan out the priorities of our engagements. These can be based on all kinds of different things. If you are a county who, like I talked about before, receives lots of federal dollars and you're going to be a federal audit, which is called a single audit, you're required to have an annual audit. So that would put you a little bit up higher on the list. But if you are not submitting these, or these, we're finding out there's nothing being on there, that would make you a little more risky too. Why aren't your documents kind of uploaded? So it's really kind of important that you get them in there and get them in there timely. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, are the documents uploaded through Gateway application for monthly and annual engagements uploads available to the public? So like I said, no, the documents uploaded for the monthly and annual ones only are not available to the public. Only the AFR and the 100R are.
RR.
RR.
Pirate.
R. All right. Will I need to purchase or install any computer software? No. This is completely online. It's just access through the internet, so you do need to have internet access. It is best used in Google Chrome. They say Mozilla Firefox too. Not a fan. Just going to tell you, I prefer Chrome. So really, if you can do it inside Chrome, you're going to have a much better experience. Like I said, your computer should be set up to do it when you go in there, when you go in to take office. I think that's good. All right. And if I have problems or questions, who should I contact? And this is going to be, we would say start with the Gateway Help Desk, and that's the bottom email, the gateway@sboa.in.gov. We do work with IBRC, which stands for Indiana Business Research Center. They actually, they really do all the behind-the-scenes computer techie stuff
for it. Yeah, they hold the platform. They keep it all together for us.
Yeah. So if we have changes to make, we do reach out to them. But if you reach out to us first, that's the preferred method. It may be something that we can, address very quickly without having to go to IBRC. Or if it's a technical issue, especially when you start getting into your AFR next year, there's a lot to that. And so sometimes we do have glitches. So if something happens or it glitches, you need to let us know so that we can reach out to IBRC and get that corrected as soon as possible. Okay. Wow. We got through that very quickly. I think that was the last question, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay. So we went ahead and put our contact information on here again. Some of you have already started using it, which is amazing. We've gotten some really good comments and some feedback already. So yeah, if you email the county's box, you will get both Lori and I. We both have access to that email account. And again, we check it all the time. We have it up all the time. So also there's our phone number. When you call that, you'll get one of our staff members, and they'll make sure to give you to whoever's available. Most of the time it's going to be us, but if you were to call, like I said, like right now, we're not available. So you may get another director, or they may just take a message and we'll call you back. We do try and get back to you as quickly as possible. So for this one, we do have a little bit more attendees in this one. We are going to try the Q&A part and see how well it works. We do ask that you try not to talk over each other. I'm getting ready to unmute you and give you back control of your camera and your microphone. If you could mute it when you're not speaking, that is very helpful. Sometimes there's background noise that's happening, and it's really hard to hear somebody over that. So let's see how this. If you are calling on, unfortunately, I do not have the ability to give you this. So I've got another person here who it won't let me switch over. Brenda, is it Furry? I cannot switch you for some reason. So if you, I'm sorry, there's two phone users. There's Brenda, and then there's Marjorie Pike. I can't switch you guys. If you want to ask a question, you can, Marjorie's already found it, the chat box. You can ask in there, and we'll be more than happy to answer you. If you want, you can turn your cameras off. You can cameras on and say hello to us and ask any questions that you have. I see a couple friendly faces that I saw the other day.
Hey. Hello, hello. Okay.
People we know. Well, hi. Okay. Anybody have any questions for us, or?
You're doing a great job.
If you can see there, and I'm like, oh wait, you're going to be treasurer now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. Say, hey, when I see you at the treasurer's, and I'm going to say, why are you here? You're going to say, because I'm not an auditor anymore. I'm a treasurer.
What's so funny is if you can see this door behind me, that joins both of our offices together through the back door, so I could actually go to his office. Yeah, it's going to be perfect. It's just going to be, yeah. We don't have to knock a hole in the wall or anything, so it's perfect.
It's always good.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be Kathy, I got a question. Roger, I got a question, so we'll be fine.
Oh, that's right, because you guys are just flip-flopping, aren't you?
Aw. Nice.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. Okay. I see some people. Call you out. So I see Tony Mellencamp. How are you? Okay.
Good. We didn't have this capability last time for some reason, but thank you for doing this. I did have a question as incoming auditor. If I wanted someone in the office to have that limited access, do they need to email separately and get their own password and username, or do I do that for them if I want them to have that limited access to act on my behalf?
That form, because you have to sign off that you are giving them permission to get it. But I believe as soon as you do that, they will assign them a username and password. That is my understanding.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, there's some things, but I'm sure you're good.
Somebody's talking. I don't know.
Well, I
I don't think they're talking to us.
I don't think so either.
See if I see anybody else that I...
This reminds me of Romper Room, where we're calling people out as we're looking through the magic mirror.
I wanted to say that so bad, and I should have. I will. No, I don't know.
All right, so I see Barbara.
But yeah, it was today. It's understandable. You lost your friend.
I can pronounce your... I'm going to mute her. Okay, I'm going to try it. All right, and then you can tell me if I did it really bad. Okay, is it Nidegger? Nope.
Very
is
good.
it?
Yes.
Yes. Very good. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, we can.
You can? Okay, because my video, of course, is with you, but my phone is getting the audio.
Okay, but yes, we can totally hear you. So it's welcome. It's nice to meet you, and I pronounced your name right.
Yes, I'm surprised. Not very many people can, so that's excellent.
My last name is Hofer, and I always get Hoffer. Even people who've known me forever will say it spells like Hoffer, so we're just going to call you Hoffer, but it's really Hofer. So, and my first name, of course, is spelled R-I-C-C-I. So a lot of times I get, is it Reese Hoffer? Well, it's Ricky Hofer, but don't take offense if I mispronounce your name, because I totally get it, but it's not done intentional. But it's nice to meet you, Barbara. I see some other friendly faces. Let's see, we've got Lori. Okay, I'm gonna try it too. Is it Benkus? Well, I remember this. I just can't remember how to say it.
Long A.
Bankus.
Okay.
Bankus. All right. See, I'll get it. It's fine. I'll get it. It's nice to meet you.
You too.
And we see Roger. He must be next door to Kathy. Are you guys right now? So that'll be interesting. You guys are really going to confuse me just because you flip-flop. So when we see you out, that's going to really mess with my head. Just think.
We're going to be confused as well, so it's all good.
Have fun with it. That's all. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So when we start talking to you about you get 15, we go, I'm the treasurer now. I don't really care about that. Oh, okay.
What's funny is when I walk in to this office and Kathy's going to go, wrong office, and I'm going to go, that's right. Sorry.
She'll just point
Yes.
that way.
You got to turn your camera on. Undo it.
Maxie?
Yes, I had a question.
Yes.
You can't see me, can you?
We can't see you, but we can
Okay,
hear you.
I typed it. I don't think you saw it. It's okay. The current recorder has an outside checking account, but I really don't want to do it that way. I'd rather take it to my treasurer. How do I allow her to close the account at the bank on the last day? Like let them know that we're not going to be using that anymore, or how do I go about?
Either way, I mean, if she's okay closing that account, or wait till you take office and then you would go and close that account.
So January 4th, I think, is like our first business day. So like on the 4th, I would just, instead of going to the bank, I'd go ahead, take it down to my treasurer, and then go to the bank.
Just a little bit.
You're going to take daily collections. You're going to use a daily report of collections to take your money to the treasurer and the reported collections to the auditor each day that you have collections, rather than a daily deposit.
Okay.
You'll have to work out with the current recorder how to do it, because it depends on, when they've got everything reconciled, because they're going to make that last check to the county out of that December collection. So the timing of it.
I shouldn't overly worry about that part, because
no,
as long as I just start my first business day, I'm going to start taking it to the treasurer. Okay.
Yes.
And then the only concern that I have is that we do get docs pop through ACH. So I will contact them probably and let them know I will no longer have a checking account.
Yeah, you're going to have to work something out with that, because if that's going to continue, they're going to have to switch to one of the county accounts that the treasurer holds, or you may not have it anymore, and I don't think you want to give up the service. So
No.
work that out with the treasurer.
I think actually it's doable, because I heard another county, they said they have docs pop and they do the daily. So I think that obviously they can do that. I just would need to line up everything with them. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we can see you, by the way, now. It's nice to see you. Let's see who else we got. I see Susan. I want to say Hamilton County. Am I right there? Is that right? All right. Okay. It's nice to see you. I'm trying to remember, because some of you have come up and introduced yourself to us. Let's see who else we got. Everyone to turn their cameras off. We are not going to get called out. See anybody else have it on? But I do see some familiar names. I see Miss Nikki Baldwin there. Sean Shelley. See you there too. If I don't call you out, it's just because there's a ton of names on here. So we see you all, and I see Tom. Tom turned his camera on. Hey. Well, do you guys have any other questions for us? Anything about Gateway? Again, we really wanted to make it a very high-level conversation, not get into the weeds on this, just so that you're aware of what should be uploaded into Gateway and what your responsibility is with it. But, again, we'll be more than happy to answer any other questions that you have.
About 5,000 questions after I'm into it and actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. We're all here to help. So And like I said, in January, we do have them all set out separately. I'll have a presentation that has a walkthrough on it, but I probably will just be showing you because we have little test ones that we have, and just walking you through what that kind of looks like. So to hopefully make that a lot easier for you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Wendy McLean here at Scott County Clerk. With those trainings for Gateway coming up in January, are they also going to be the recorded style where someone could go back and retrain? Because my chief deputy, again, I think is going to be kind of the divide and conquer, if you will, and certain things that she's really skilled at, certain things. So I just want to make sure that would be an option. Okay.
They will all be recorded.
That's great. Okay. And one more, I'm sorry. The reported collections I'm used to doing when I was matron and turning it over to the auditor's office. You had said something else there that has nothing to do with the reconciling, I understand. But is there anything that we need to share that with you on with the reported collections? You said something about fees and cash, but I didn't write fast enough.
The fees and cash, but are you meaning within the sheriff? I'm sorry.
No, actually as clerk. Yeah, as clerk, I wanted to make sure there was nothing with those reported collections that you all needed to see.
You don't have to upload them if that's what you're asking. Okay. We do look at them during audit, but you're not required to upload them.
Okay. That's just a transfer between us and what they need to have in their hands.
Yep, transfer of custody.
Gotcha.
That's the best way to look at it.
Okay. Just be sure on that. Thank you.
Give it a second. Anybody else? I was thinking I saw something. Oh, we got a thank you, and it's nice to see you all having fun. Oh, we have fun all the time.
Fun.
Fun stuff.
Yes.
Right? Hey, you got to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, appreciate your personalities, girls. So.
I think we're on this. I think when we try and be that way in person, but in person, I think you're juggling a little bit more, and so there's a lot of moving.
One of the things that we noted when we did the quadrant meetings for the auditors last fall, where we just did it by district, so we had 1/4 instead of all 300 people in a room. And one of the things that they brought out to us at the time was that we were much more approachable, and we didn't feel like we were any different. But just because it was a smaller group and more interaction one-to-one, that they felt like that made it easier to talk to us. So we're hoping this does the same thing for us. Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah, and in a bigger group, normally one of us runs the microphone while the other one's talking and doing technology things. And so I think sometimes that's a hard thing. But we do look forward to meeting all of you guys. This is like my very first time doing a newly elected training. I've only been in this position for 2 years, well, almost 2 years in February. So I'm kind of sad that we, didn't get to do this. So make sure that if we get to have any in-person training this year, or the very first in-person training we do, let's say 2 words together, introduce yourself to us. Please come up. It's one thing to see you here, but it's completely different to see you in person. So just make sure that you reach out to us and let us know who you are. So, we'll get to know you just like we know, some of the others. Well, is there anybody else that has anything else for us today? Okay. Well, we're going to let you guys go. That's all we've got for December. I will tell you, I am putting together the January schedule of sessions, getting the links together currently, hoping to get that out probably sometime next week. The videos, all these recordings this week that we have done, I have them all but the current one that we're working on. So once I get that, I will get that to our webmaster. I'll get it to him today. It may be beginning of next week before he gets it up there, so just keep checking back on that website to see if you can see the recordings that are there. And if you have any questions along the way, again, just send the counties an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay. All right.
Participation. Appreciate your willingness to serve, and congratulations on your election.
Yes.
And we look forward to the next 4 years.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.